Hello, storytellers. Storytelling Ron, and this is just another babble about Apostles of the Epoch, the Kickstarter that I got running now, and I'm going to run through the game. I'm just going to show you all what I'm doing, and you can see the PDF. Christian role-playing game. Lame. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Well, you can see why in the culture, right? In the woke stuff. If you're a Christian and you love role-playing games, you love D&D and all that. I get it. I love D&D. I love the old school D&D. I do not love the new school, the WotC. And also, I don't really like. Let me explain something to you. And this is just me. My big cool mace here, even though I'm kind of retired from fighting. I don't know. I still want to fight, but I don't know. I do enjoy working out with it. But this is such a beautiful ball mace. Local guy made it here in San Luis Obispo. Love that guy. So here's something. Okay, now this is kind of compares the Hyperborea guy, and he's these guys are successful. So I'm not trying to criticize him or any of those guys. I really do like this stuff. But I'm doing a Christian version of this, or a post-apocalyptic world that's kind of gonzo. But I've noticed that they're very thick, right? All this stuff, and I mean, back in the something dropped. Sticker. There it is. Back in the day, this thick stuff is just wonderful. Having this stuff, this amount to read. But today, I just don't really have the time, you have to commit to like one game, to really want to read through all this much. Most of them are like that, and I'm like, I got this Vazen here. I barely touched this. I've skimmed through it, and this one too, like Vazen. I've got this one too. That's so thick, and I think there's some decent Christian elements in it too. I get a little overwhelmed by the amount of stuff here. I don't know what it is, because I used to scour my space map. Put this on the ground. This is my Minas Tirith maps. I've laminated them. Yeah, back from the old MERP, or Lord of the Rings role-playing. But this spell law, I used to go through this, back in the day. I used to I even got the older one here. Oh my gosh, look at this. Character law. Look how worn out that is from me. Just reading this stuff up. Oh yeah, I even have to tape these guys. Oh my gosh. It's all taped because of how much I use that one. And okay, I even got a second one there. My spell law is all taped up. Look at that. This is my original. How worn that is. So I used to, back in the day. I'll beat up this book. This is Star Trek, the Space Master miniature sort of mini game rules for Space Master, but I was using for spaceship fighting. Thoughts is all worn out. I even have the armored combat assault one too here somewhere. That's my point. Oh my gosh. Oh, I've definitely got to start referencing this for my new game. But this one, man, Pirates, the Rollmasters Pirates campaign setting. Look at that. I used to go crazy. So I was, into, as a game master, being very studious, being very disciplined in how much I don't know if it's disciplined, but passionate about it, and bookwormy, and reading everything, and over and over I would read them too. I read like those things over and over. That was back in the day when we didn't have anything. We didn't have, the internet or computers, so it was our thing to read over and over. But today, we got so many distractions that I just don't have the time. And there's so many, right? I bought all the Aliens stuff. I have all the new Alien stuff. I read through the first couple and was really excited about it. Thinking I might GM it. I got them all. I got the whole thing. Here's Colonial Marines. I even got a bookmark there. I was reading through it. But I realized I got Conan. Where's the Conan one? Got the new Conan. I was reading through it, but you know, it's 5e. No, it's on 220. I'm just, and I think I want to, and I even got some of the adventures too. I do want to kind of read them just to have fun, but I'm reading some other stuff right now. I'm reading the African slave trade, Royal Navy versus the African slave trade and all that. So I'm really excited about that. What's my point then? My point is, I made mine very rules light and very, very tight. I wanted every page to be a reference page more than a filled with a ton of stuff. Because you and I already understand the setting of post-apocalyptic, what we could do with it. I don't feel like I need to throw in a bunch of filler, and I'm not trying to insult any of those people for what they're doing. I'm just using simple, I guess, sort of derogatory terms, but just to keep it simple. I'm not trying to throw in a bunch of pages in filler, which I could because I do write. Where's my Alfred books? Okay. These are my. I've written these. These are my Alfred the series books, by the way. Okay, so I can write, and I love them. I'm very happy, joyful that I did them. They're wonderful. I've read them a few times over. I'm doing the audibles right now for them. So I can write, but I don't want to write for these. I want to keep it very succinct. Even if I write a story in the role playing, I want to keep it succinct so that you can do what you want with it. I'm not throwing a bunch of filler at you. I want you to take it and run with it for you as a GM, right? We always do that anyway. We always take the info and then do our own thing. And that's kind of why I decided just to write it simplistically and reference in a sort of reference way. Because that's what I want. That's what I want as a GM. I want reference stuff. I don't want filler. I can't read filler during my game, you know? And I can't remember all that. And I don't want to remember all that. I want to do what I want to do. And what I want to do is I have notes, very succinct, so that I can... And I'm thinking of so many things during game mastering that I can't... You know what I mean? I'm not going to do filler. I want just the graphic reference material in front of me so that I can then do improv and let things kind of flow free too, because I like, you know, we all as a game master, right? We want there to be that wiggle room for things to happen on the spot. I love that. So that's why I always like reference material. I do not want filler or big long winded, you know, modules, campaigns or adventure modules. I want just the notes so that I can do what I want with it and play with it like a chess game with the players. Okay, so let's go to yeah. So this is Apostles of the Epoch. You know, everything I do, even the drawings here, I retaught myself how to draw. I haven't drawn in so many years, and then, you know, that was my original degree, is fine art, not graphic art, fine art, which was goofy Parisian painting, Germanic 1940s style, whatever. Anyway, all that stuff, the fine art stuff. I was a painter guy in Hollywood, but I had to sort of train myself to draw. And the reason I started drawing and doodling, every aspect of this was a choice made logistically to accomplish what my goal was. My goal is, you know, like having a fun, simple game, and so the drawings, you know, I have to do them all myself. I don't want to go looking around for stuff, or acquiring stuff, or hiring people to do stuff. I want to do it based on what I, you know, just need quickly and love, and keep the style the same. Anyway, so this is the post-apocalyptic game. This is the timeline, and it's a very simple timeline. The post-apocalyptic time is 2300 AD here, and I'm just going to go through, you know, literally, this is on my Kickstarter. I'm trying to get promoted as a Kickstarter, but I'm literally going to show you the whole thing here. Just because I don't care. I enjoy this. So the period is like, think Thundar the Barbarian, zombie apocalypse, crazy mutants, road warrior gangs, you know, Hyperborea, all that kind of stuff. And I have a storyline, a timeline, even that goes to the Christians in Space one. And I'm doing this to be biblically accurate and kind of like Earth accurate, but you know, there are no aliens. There's only corruption, and there's mad scientists creating alien-like things, genetically modified things. But there's no aliens. I don't believe in aliens. Sorry, it's based on the Bible. We haven't seen any. Well, they say they are, but whatever. I don't go to that. But don't care because this is even better. And it gives us that whole alien enjoyment, is that the crazy atheists went around terraforming and creating the aliens. And then in this world, the mutations and radioactiveness created all the, gonzo creatures and weirdness, and so we can do anything we want. We can extrapolate it out to any kind of craziness we want. A big brained mutated wizard freakazoid with psionic and psychic powers. We can do that in this game because it's fine. It's a radioactive craziness. So in Apostles of the Epoch, the missionaries can encounter a gonzo wizard with a mutated additional lobe that gives them psychic powers to control people. And I'm fine with that. So there can be magic in that sense, and it's all dark evil magic for the most part. Okay, so 2100 AD is basically based on Bidenomics and what's going on today. We're going to be atheists are going to take over, the end times, blah blah blah. But I'm just asking the Lord to stretch it out a few hundred more years. But and the Christians are all imprisoned, and we're put into work camps. Okay, so that's what they do to us. And it turns out we actually get the job done and make their stuff. But it's all freaky deaky, cyber. And there could be a cyberpunk setting in that as well that I haven't thought about. Or if any of you want to do it, let me know. Christian cyberpunks. But in the end, the Christians are all in work camps, and then they discover space travel, and then that travel is translight. They discover that travel between the star systems, between the gravity wells, there's a time dilation, so that it only takes a couple of weeks to get to the other stars. So that's the whole concept of creation science and starlight travel, which we can do. We discovered, and it's that whole E = mc squared. Yeah, I mean, there's legit time dilation, whatever thing, so that we too can travel through space and time. I know it speeds up, so then we speed up as we travel incredibly fast beyond speed of light, kind of thing. Ludicrous speed, right? We go to ludicrous speed going to the next star system. Okay, so that's what that is. And so then the atheists leave and they blow up, they nuke the Earth. They nuke the Earth out of spite, out of disdain. They want to erase Israel. They always want to erase Israel. But it didn't work. There were survivors. The Christians survived. And so 100 years later, and so there's nuclear fallout, blah, blah, blah. So 100 years later, the Christians are like rebuilding their society in those little camps. And they've decided, hey, we got to go out now. The nuclear radiation has gone down rather quickly. Unlike, didn't take millions of years, only took a few hundred years or less, because radiation half-life actually deteriorates really quickly in the environment. It might last for millions of years in a air-conditioned laboratory, that they check out for 10 or 20 years and 30 years, and then tell us that's how long it takes. But out in the baking sun and rain and heat and wind and blah, 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 yeah, radiation decays rather quickly. I mean, it's the Chernobyl effect. It decays quickly. It doesn't take millions of years for radiation to decay. So that's where we're at. That's by the way, the dating method, the old carbon dating and dating thing that for all you evolutionists guys. Okay, or Christians who wonder about that. Okay, so starting the show is the characters are now missionaries at the base camp or prison camp or work camp that there's now they're a little bastion, their little fort that they survived in, and the Christians realize they got to go out and evangelize, be missionaries, and find survivors, and they do know there's mutations out there because they've experienced maybe an attack by giant ants or something weird. So they do know about it. They just don't know how crazy it is beyond their hex. And this is a hex crawl game. You go explore each hex, and I'll go through that. And you get here, you make your characters. This explains the basics. It's very simple. I'm going to skip this and go right to the character sheet, so the next page. But this is the 2 pages of reference for the beginning of the game, right? And by the way, the game, here it is. I got the print already. Let me go back to the full page. Just to show you something. Where am I at? Where's my mouse? My mouse is way over here. I just want to show you that so for this, that page right here is just this, So every time you you want to start a game or whatever you're doing with the people, here's your rules right here, boom, that's it. This is the character sheet. I'll go to that in a sec. But if you're doing and I did it in the order of making the characters and getting all their gear and stuff, and then here's combat. So when you're in a combat situation, you just need these 2 pages down here as you play the game, and then the next page is the basic game mechanics. I should be doing it up there, but then the next couple pages is the blessings and how they work, and then we'll go there. But every 2 pages I try to make those are the 2 pages that based on those rules that you need. I mean, for the most part, but there's some differences. Okay, let me switch back to this. Okay, so let's go to the making the characters. Now I want Christian role-playing game, right? It took me a while, like, to figure it out, like to rearrange my brain cells, right, to understand this concept, and that we can have a game just like D&D or Hyperborea or any of those Gonzo OSRs. We can have the exact same thing, except that we want to change the hearts and minds of the people that we rescue. We don't just want to rescue them and get treasure. We want to talk to them and and here's another element of the game: you plant a church. So, and it's a very simple, I'll get to that page too, but once you plant a church, that becomes now a support mechanism in the game. So that as you move on, you will have that as support in the back of you, you have that church there behind you in that hex supporting you, so that you can move on to the next thing. All right. Church support, gotta go help my wife real quick. Church support, pause. So I'm back. So we get to do all the stuff that regular games are. You will have combat and fighting, but you want to rescue, or plant the church. And again, that becomes a cool role-playing element where you get to that church could also be in danger. There's a couple roles here the GM can do once in a while where they see if the church is attacked or discovered by, the enemy or the empire. That's end game thing here. And the characters have to then resupply them or support them or go back and rescue them, And that could be a source for cool stuff. If they get a couple cool, strong churches going, that those churches can then supply the players. You can role play that out too. And that's something you kind of decide, you can roll. You can make your own chart of cool things. I don't know what that was. But anyway, okay, so here's the character sheet. Very simple. Check this out. This is the ability scores, basically. I call them traits. Aggression is to me what actually is more important than strength, that term, or agility in combat and fighting is aggression. It's what you do with your strength and agility. It's how aggressive you are. I noticed that guys that are aggressive have a better just combat, melee version and physicality. It's not how limber or how strong you are. It's how well you use that in an aggressive way to accomplish things. That's kind of what I notice about combat. Anyway, awareness to me is the agility. Awareness is really not how agile you are at something. It's how the situational awareness, how aware you are of the situation to then utilize your agility or your lack of agility. To me, a gymnast and a fat guy could both be just as good at shooting or even sword fighting or sneaking. Stealth is awareness. So you add your awareness to hide or stealth. It's not based on, to me, how agile you are, because a gymnast could be a terrible hider, stealth person. It's how aware you are of doing that. So in this one, in technology, the next trait is it's for like in Dark Ages, in the medieval one, it's called secrecy, and that's the proclivity to do criminal things like pickpockets and stealth. No, stealth is not in secrecy. Although it could be if a person wanted to argue that they could use their secrecy instead of awareness, which is fine by me. But and secrecy is criminal stuff, proclivity to do criminal stuff. Technology is the proclivity to do technical stuff, like plumber is technology, or maintenance, or repair, like weapon repair, armor repair. those type of skills uses technology, and technology is used for rocket launchers because it's not really your awareness or aggression. It's more of your how you can know how to operate this device to shoot a rocket, to aim it and shoot it using technology. So that's kind of what technology is for. It covers it's just your proclivity for techno stuff. I'm gonna move over to intellect because it's the converse of technology, if that's the right word. Intellect is your engineering, crafting, building. It's building stuff. It's also academic. It's also history. It's whatever you do in that direction. So technology repairs it. Intellect will build it and upgrade. Now in technology, you can upgrade. I do allow kind of there's a gray area here. You can upgrade, but intellect, you upgrade more high tech stuff. Then when things get more, sciencey and stuff. So science, biology, all that. Okay, let's move to spirit. Spirit is your faith, your courage, it's wisdom, but it's your faith points as well, as you can see over here, which is what you spend when you do blessings like heal and protection, just to name some of the easier ones to understand. So if you have a 5 spirit, because that's the first number, you can use 5, 3, 1, 0, -1, -2. You put those all in those 6 categories there. So let's say you're a cleric and you put 5 into spirit. So you now have 5 spirit points. And the bonus is if you raise it up through skills, you can add more spirit points. But 5 spirit points for the day or for each encounter. So for the day refers to a day or a period of time the GM decides. Like if they're at rest building up the church, and this is in between missions, then they'll only get that 5 spirit points for that entire period. There's wiggle room there, obviously, depending on how they role play. But I don't want them to have 5 every day, and they keep doing something 5 every day to try to do something silly. That's ridiculous. Or for each encounter. So every time they get an encounter, a new combat situation, a new intense situation, they spend 5. They get the new 5 spirit points. And so you spend 1 point on heal, right? You heal the warrior next to you, and the heal is like, heal, brother, you can keep fighting, like that. And so one faith point spent is D4 to heal. If they spend 2 faith points, it's D6 because it goes up the die ranks. D4, D6, D8, D10, D12. And that's the same with skills. I want to repair weapons, level 1 or 1 skill point, D4. I want to repair weapons, 2 skill points, D6, D8, D10. So the reason I do it that way is so that you're not constantly having you don't have a constant number. Like I now have +10 weapon repair. So every time you roll, you get +10, which I don't like that. I like that there's that D4, there's a range there. D6, D8, you're getting way better, but there's still that range. You can still roll a 1, So same with combat. You have the same thing. D4, if you want to increase your 2 hit or your 2 damage even, it goes up by die ranks. And it doesn't add a new die, it combines die. So if you here on the sheet here, you have a combat knife D4. If you want to increase the damage of your combat knife with 1 skill point, it goes to D6. Okay? It doesn't go D4 plus D4. It's D4, and you add to D6. So yes, you can get all your weapons to go up to D12. And that's a belief I have concerning weaponry. If you really skilled at it, you can actually make a hammer just as dangerous as a battle axe. If you're skilled at it, you got to put the time into it. The second die is going to be much harder to add. It's more expensive, but it's in the rules, so you can do it, but you don't want to because it means that for instance, a sniper can increase their sniper rifle skill to D4, right? They can add a D4 to this, a second. But what it means is that it's expensive. It costs 4 skill points to do it. But it also means I will make you spend 1 or 2 additional skill points every rest, every church, every big rest period you have, and you get a bunch of glory points, which are for the skill points. I will actually make you pay for that again because you have to keep training. You have to upkeep that professionalism is what that second die refers to. So I will actually make it very cost prohibitive in a sense. But you can do it if you really want to do it. And that's the truth of anything, of MMA guys or sniper rifle guys or doctors. You have to constantly retrain yourself and keep up to date with things if you want to be that good at something. All right, so that's what that is. Weapons. So obviously you're gonna this right here, this list is the transport gear and supplies. This is what they have as missionaries to start the game. and this is the in the RV or whatever, the armored RV, and that there's vehicle rules too. I have vehicle rules that are a lot of fun to use, and I'll get to that. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm probably going to tire out before I finish it, but whatever. So these are the weapons. This is the basic damage. There's unique. Further down the page here is all these additional armament weapon styles, and these are things that each weapon. I think like a combat knife. If you can roll 4 damage, past their armor save, you will get a lethal, which means they will get a permanent minus D4 wound. And that can go to D6. That can go to D8. It's called a grievous wound. It's permanent in the sense that you got to heal it up with rest, or a miracle of healing, which is a blessing that separate from heal. Heal is for healing the hit point version. A miracle of healing is for healing grievous wounds, and it's a tougher roll. And grievous wound is a real wound. Plus, if they do 6 damage, there'll be a bleed. So you'll bleed 1 per round, and you are going to die soon. Not small bleeding, which is just accounted for in the damage, but in big bleeding. And obviously that doesn't happen unless you get better skills in damage. Okay, so you have to get better at it to get that D6, or to get a 6 damage. And armor saves will avoid that. Okay, let me go back to. So here, pick a weapon. This is the armor that's available, and if they get to wear armor, so for plastics. And the armor here is very limited because it's it's post-apocalyptic, so they don't have access to really good armor yet. They got to go find it or make it themselves. But this is plastics D6 armor, and that reduces the damage by D6. So if they take any of this damage, then they roll their armor save, and it can reduce that down. And so combat does have a few rolls, and I've been told by one player that he thought maybe it was a little much, but I love it. Gonna keep it for now. Seems to be fine because the characters and the creatures generally have not that many hit points, which is called vitality for good guys and vigor for the bad guys. So the vitality of the toughest warrior will be up here 6. Men get 6 plus D6 plus their aggression. So if their aggression is a 5 and they get a 12, so 17 would be the highest, and that's like a super good. Women get 4 plus D4 plus aggression, and the maximum women's aggression can go as a 4. If a woman wants to go above that, it needs to be role played or discussed or just determined, but it needs to be like an MMA style, constantly training type of situation. So yes, men and women are different in this game. I'm absolutely going to stand by that. No matter how obscure I'm delegated to. Men or women are different, and I want women and girls that play this game, that if you're a dad and you have a girl playing this game, I want her to play like a girl, like a young lady, or a spirited woman who knows what to do as a woman, not wielding a battle axe and just standing next to the men and fighting along. I don't want that's silly paganism or something. Women have their roles. There's we know that in the Bible. Here's an example though. My wife and I, so over our 30 years together, I have been crippled, bedridden, injured, mostly through my own fault of being aggressive goofball so many times, and then bad health, bad eating habits, blah, 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 plus getting injured. 40 times, whatever. My wife has been my caretaker. And I've taken care of her once. She had cancer. Big cancer thing and surgery and all that. I've taken care of her once because of that. She's taken care of me 40 times, and all of it probably due to my own fault. So exactly what this is. And women have a good mothering, caring, healing thing in this that I'll come to later on, but it's in the rules. Men, crazy. Okay. Women cannot be pastors either. This is biblical. I'm sticking with it. Just so you know, women cannot be pastors. But they can be evangelists, okay? They can be evangelists for sure. They can do pretty much everything in this game as far as the evangelism missionary work, because these characters are not running the church. They're just planning the church and then moving on to the next adventure. Okay, so in this, also they get gear, and so this is the weapons. Oh, sorry, let me go back to weapons. Weapons to hit, right? That's with their aggression for melee and awareness for shooting, aiming. And throwing things that are heavy is aggression. Throwing things that are light, like darts, is awareness. And that's the hit. And then the damage is based off of the damage. And again, both of those can be upgraded through skills, buying skills. Burden is important because you can only carry 2 heavies, 3 mediums, and 4 lights. Okay, down here, those are the burdens. So whatever you get as far as weapons and gear, you got to write down here so you know what you have, if you can see that. And then obviously all the faith abilities and skills can be written out over here. Whatever skills, by the way, there's no list. You make it up, whatever they want. Sewing, singing, playing the lute, whatever they come up with that they want to do. Intimidation, they can pick, but it needs to be specific too. It can't be repair. Okay, it's got to be repair weapons, repair armor, repair gear, repair vehicle. It's got to be kind of specific. The generalized skill is their trait, like technology for any repair. Okay, wealth. This is kind of a new thing I've been doing. I don't know if I want to keep it or not, but I'm doing it for now. We'll see. And they haven't really gotten there yet as far as using it in most of these games. So because I've started up the Christians of Space one, but they haven't gotten to the point where they've met the civilized areas in space where they can start trading. And in the Dark Ages one, I could have had them do it, but I didn't get this new rule implemented at the time that I play tested. But basically, wealth is a skill too. You're going up die ranks with it. I'm not using coins. I'm not using monetary system. I'm using an actual. If you get treasure, your wealth will go up die ranks like D4, D6, D8, and then you can have a society skill in trading, which will go up D4, D6, 8, and then all those rolls you can use against a trader, who you're trading with, and they're going to have a counter roll based on whatever item they have and their skill as well. So I got to play that out. It's still in the rules. I've detailed it out, but I have not play tested it that much, or all actually. So we'll see. Anyway, it's there. But okay, so defense. Defense is always 12 plus your awareness. So if this person's awareness is a 3, and they have a defense of 12 plus 3 is 15. Other factors can be the shield and the helmet, which will add to their defense. So if they were wearing the shield and the helmet, they would get 15 plus 4 is 19. So they have a 19. So they're hard to hit. Now, once they're hit, then the damage is this. And remember, it's also a burden to carry a large shield, and the helmet is a light, so that'll be part of their gear. So that's a factor. Now you can go beyond the gear that they are wearing, but then you'll be at a minus D4 or be at a minus of the armor save. I also use the armor save as the terrain test penalty. So if they're in a muddy field and they're wearing plastics, they'll be at minus D6. That way, that's the reason. That's a way of explaining bad armor, or heavy armor. If you have heavy armor, that's cool, but then it's a penalty during terrain tests. If I make a terrain test, I make you roll your armor save as the penalty. Keep it in, or minus D4 or whatever the higher armor save. If it's higher, if it's worse. Armor save, yeah, you can pick that and you just write down the type of armor, and all of this here is just for notes for you to use. To fill in for whatever factors for the defense. Vitality down here is when you minus 10, I took 4, I took 6, whatever. And wounds. This is like if your armor gets damaged, you can type that in here, because your armor can get damaged. It can be reduced. This minus D6 could take. I could do like a critical hit on you, and then say this D6 is now D4. So you have to write that down in the wear and tear, and then you got to go repair it. Vitality is your total hit points, and again, it's 6 plus roll a D6, no rerolls, plus your aggression for men, and 4 with a D4 plus aggression for women. And I played with these teens, and it was a sister and a brother and another 2 guys, but the sister, she was 14, 15. And when she rolled her character out, and this is for the Dark Ages, and saw how weak she was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh boy, it's going to work. I don't know. She's going to get upset. But in the game, man, she told her brother to go up and fight. And she would, and she knew to have the men go fight. And she just role played that out. And she, stayed back. But she was busy in the game. She was doing things. And there are rules for them, even in combat. Like I think she had the crossbow. So she could shoot the crossbow from a distance. But she did not want to go up and fight them because she knew she did not have the aggressiveness or the vitality to do it. And I really want women to be in that role, girls to understand that as well. We cannot be lying to girls, in a game or otherwise. In a football game, I really am against these dads that put their daughters in football games as football players. That is ridiculous. Now, I'm guilty to that as well. I'd had my daughters play basketball with the boys. I thought that would be so cool. But then, right when high school started, I realized I needed to take them out because the guys were getting, just like in One Piece, the guys got stronger and faster and quicker and blah blah blah, and the women and the girls stayed girls, And I was like, okay, that's it, girls only. All right. So gear, you can pick any gear you want. This is in the transport, and I just recently added this, where if you get a backpack, you can increase your gear carry. But the backpack takes the spot of one heavy, but now you get 2 heavies. Does that make any sense? Because you already got 2 heavies, or 4 mediums, or 6 lights, or 20 supplies. Well, I probably should make it. Well, no, it's 2 heavies beyond the backpack, which doesn't make sense. Whatever, I'll figure this out later. Let me put this in italics, or let me put it in red. That way I'll remember to think about it later. But I gotta think about it soon, because where are we at here? Okay, let's put that right there. Okay, anyway, fuel tank, laboratory kit, medium, lights, and it's important to have ammo, because if you roll a fumble and then do an ammo roll, you could run out of ammo, so you gotta replace it. But it's only like in this game, I don't have you with supplies or ammo. You don't track at every game. It's based on the game and the rolls that I make that you then have to track that stuff, or that stuff might be deplenished, yeah, to replenish. Okay. Oh, manuals is a way of sort of like a magic item in the sense that it gives you, it'll give you new skills and new offerings to do if you find them, digital manuals or even printed ones. So this just explains the starting gear and all that stuff. Rules for the gear and wear and tear. So armaments. So this is the different weapons and then the styles. And these styles, give a uniqueness to the weapons. Now, one I really like is guns. So guns have an auto 3, some sort of auto ammo. And let's just use this handgun for an example. Auto 3, ammo 8. Okay, what does that mean? It means they can shoot 3 times in one turn. But if they roll ammo 8, if they roll an 8 or less, and they can add their awareness to this, if they roll an 8 or less, they've run out of bullets, or that they've emptied their magazine. Okay, so if they do that, then they better have an ammo in their gear, otherwise they don't have any more ammo. So that's important. Auto 3 means the first shot can be aimed, so they roll plus their skills and everything. But the next 2 shots are just D20 rolls. They're raw D20 rolls because they're just after the first shot, you're just it's a little you lose the aim. So and they'll, let me tell you, man, those have have changed the game. Those ammo fire, and it doesn't necessarily represent 3 shots. It represents just the ability to shoot a bunch more. So there's that rule, and it's pretty cool. Crushing is if you roll a 19 or a 20, it's double. It's a crit, and plus adding a grievous wound to somebody. And the grievous wounds, there's 2 options here. I'm not sure if I put this in the game or not, but my options are: a grievous wound is minus D4. And then if you have minus D4 as a grievous wound and you get another one, it's minus D6. It keeps going up to and if you go past the minus D12 in the grievous wounds, you're dead, automatically dead. No life saves. If you go to 0 on your vitality, your hit points, then you do get to do life saves. But not for grievous wounds. But there's 2 options here. That option for the nice game, and then the mean game is if the handgun does a grievous wound, it's minus D8 based on the base damage of the weapon. That's scary, right? So if you wanted that kind of game where, if you get shot and it's a bullet, you're at minus D8. So every time you try to do something, ow, you're at minus D8. Because if you go to past minus D12, you're dead. So you can't. Your body's in shock and dies. So that's it's armor piercing 1. So yeah, with armor it'll take off 1, reduce 1 of the armor piercing. Okay, so here's more armor options if they find stuff or make it. fire damage rules, which is really important since they use a lot of, in my game, they've been using a lot of fire. Limb charge is optional. Trade skill, this is that thing I was talking about. Headshot or limb cripple, so some extra rules there for that. Combat, 2 pages. What's funny is I keep this pretty open-ended as far as combat. The order of combat is just based on GM's discretion, and it works out fine. I do like that, when you roll initiative, but I just want to move the game along quicker, and I like to do it based on just what's in the story. Like, if the characters are really gung-ho, I let them go first. But if there's a bad guy who's got a dagger and the characters and the missionaries are not really dealing with him well, I just have them attack. Just scary stuff. It's good that way. No one's complained. Everyone's sort of liked it. And in the end, if there's a second turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, I just kind of group them together. Like, I group the bad guys together, I group the good guys together, and I just move along. That first round is where I kind of be, based on narrative, and it's worked out great for me. So Nat 1, Nat 20, obviously. The denouement is really important in this game, and this is actually the goal of the missionaries when they fight. They try to get denouement. They're trying to get the bad guys to give up, to, after beating them down, taking one down. So it's not about killing everyone. It's not murder hoboing here. It's about getting them to surrender, and give up. And that's where they get their success in this game. And then they try to convert them. And the game isn't about converting as much as it is about getting them to accept a church in that area. So you're not really trying to convert the villains or the village or the survivors or whoever you rescue. You're trying to inspire them, or let your church come in and plan, so that they can then do that process of conversion and sanctification. Okay, all right. So there's the game mechanics. Go through all that. There's a women's rules here. Power of faith. Okay, this is the conditions and life saves and all those rules. And then I have here the power of faith, which is blessings. The main blessings here: bless, preach. So that's the society bonus. Interesting. Protection and heal. Ooh, add to stamina. Stamina is the old term I use for vitality and vigor. It's still in there. I thought I searched around and replaced them all, I thought. So, and then there's more here. And then the Crusader Marine is like a paladin, and then he has some his own stuff. And a woman's touch, this is not blessings. This is an actual inherent skills that a woman can do, and that she can add to her character, with, and here's some suggested skills, just a list. Okay, glory points. I want to get over glory points is what they actually get to buy skills. You get a glory point for doing things, for converting, not converting them. Well, yeah, if you actually in the game, you could actually convert people, but if I feel like you roll really well and you're really focusing on that at the moment. So there is converting if you want, like getting them to believe in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. But it isn't like the ascent, like you don't have, if you just get them to accept the church plan, that to me is fine too. So they can get a glory point for one of those, or defeating a cruel leader. Here's the list of what they can do. And I don't give them a glory point for each specific thing. I generally give them a glory point if they do 1, 2, or 3, or all of these within that session. In other words, you categorize the glory points in different areas. So if they plant a church, if they convert people, plant a church, and get that going, that's 1 glory point. If they defeat a bad guy and help people, that's 1 glory point, not 1 for each bullet point here. It's for any and all of these. Gets one glory point. So generally, you should average 1 glory point per hour or 2, and they get a glory point for showing up, because I appreciate that. I think it's in here somewhere. Showing up to the session automatically rewards the players with 1 GP. I should probably bold that. Okay. So, and then they spend their glory points. They raise their traits up. It's just very expensive. So if you want to go from a trait 3 to 4, it's 7 glory points. It's the total of those ones. And I don't know if I have this rule in here, but I'm thinking if you go past the traits 5, like to 6, if you go to 6, whatever, it's the sort of that professionalism rule where you have to spend more later on to keep that. Because, to me, going to a 6 is like a mixed martial artist and with aggression, or a 6 in intellect is like a professor or doctor, where you constantly have to maintain that, right? You give up your other aspects of your life to maintain that intellect or whatever. So there's that kind of concept in there you could play with. I don't know if I've written in here or not. Whatever. Adding a skill. So that, again, plus D, plus D4, plus D6, plus D8, plus D10, plus D12 is the progression if you want to spend a glory point in any skill that you decide. And there's other things in here as well. There's other unique things in here that you can do and explore and try. And then, GM, you can come up with others. All right, so this is odd that the spread is glory points and then moves to bases and transports, but I had to fit this in. So this is a way of creating places that they discover, and this is the different components, and also this is the components of a vehicle. Well, in Apocalypse, there's no spaceships, so obviously a vehicle is going to be just the first couple of components here. I mean, and actually the transport has these ones as well, but they're very, it's like a RV. They're small and stuck in there in little spaces, or just the bunk and the med lab. They have a med lab and cargo, I guess. Oh, and workshop. They do have a little workshop, but think of it like an RV. They're really tiny little spots that probably can't go beyond plus D4 in and of themselves. But these are components that you would have in a bunker base, that you could put into thinking about what they discovered or what secret settlement they found or whatever, or in the Empire or whatever. Vehicles. So here we got vehicle combat. I'm not going to go over it right now because I'm getting tired, but here it is. Vehicle combat, different types of vehicles. I keep it very simple, the description. Let me go over in my own fun way, describing it this way. All right. See that? All right, so this is the transport. It has a handling of TR14 plus D4. So the Christians made this little bus here, got some really good handling. But the generics of this vehicle are 14. So you have to roll. So in the game, the driver has to roll this at the beginning of each combat, right? And whatever they get above that 14 will give a bonus to the shooter or to their defense. It's up to the driver to decide, or even to their own gun if they have a fixed forward gun. So, and that also helps with initiative. And the villain or the opposing target also gets to roll as well. Now, a motorcycle has a TR of 10, so they need less, of a number to get some bonuses to their defense or whatever. Of course, they don't have that many hit points. Wheels is just describing what's their locomotion. Com is if they have a radio, so they have a radio. In post-apoc, in the APOC game, it's just a radio, maybe a radar, but nothing too, sci-fi like in the Christian Space one where they have a scanner and jammer and all that. But in this one, it's just basically a radio. The defense is an 8, so it's very easy to hit this thing. And by the way, this is from a chart. I've categorized all the vehicles based on their sizes and things that SUV, APC, etc. Armored fighting vehicle up here, mobile battle tank. Okay, so they all have their factors as far as the handling and their defense. Armor sum. So this has an armor save of D12 and D4. So the D12 it fits right in with like plate armor. Is D10 like medieval plate armor is D10, and then D12 is the next level up, which is like heavy armor, and that's what I view vehicles as in this game and in Christian Space. They're not that much thicker than plate armor. Now obviously with the D4 it is thicker because I added a D4. A tank, armored fighting vehicles will have this D4, D6, D8, that second dice, so it makes it a lot more tougher. So that's to me. So humans and vehicles and spaceships all have the same combat charts. They're all fit in, weapons and everything. The reason I did it, I made it closer. Like in the Star Wars RPG, you have separate for vehicles and people because of the scale or whatever. But in this, I made all the vehicles and spaceships more on the human scale. They're not vast Star Destroyers. They're more of a transports, space shuttles type things. But when you shoot these things even with a handgun, you can do damage. You can impair these vehicles. I mean, handgun probably not, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so hull 8, what that represents the hit points per part of the vehicle, per part that you hit. So here's the weapons. 50 cal, D8, auto 4, ammo 8, cover fire. Oh, so what that means, TR12 cover fire, is that if you're being shot, you have a TR12 trial rating of 12 to roll over, or you're suppressed. You're being a loader means that if they do roll an ammo roll, they can have a loader that counters that the time to reload. They have that option. Most weapons don't. You got to reload yourself. Okay. So parts. Here's the parts of the vehicle, and you kind of decide that on your own when you pick a vehicle out, or GM when you make a vehicle, you decide what they have in that vehicle. And this one has an engine. And then when someone shoots it, I roll a d12 to see what part they hit. And then obviously each part has a whole 8. So, each part can get, and if they take out the drive, vehicle's now stuck where it's at. You know what I mean? So, wow, they really do got a good workshop plus D6 and a plus lab medical plus D6. And also, when they do damage, these things will go down too. The plus D6 will go down, to taking damage. Okay. It's a lot of fun, vehicle combat. I've done quite a bit of that now, play testing it, and I really enjoy that. I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy with the way the vehicle combat and spaceship combat feels. So you got that in here. Gameplay. Okay. I want to get to making a hex crawl. So this game is a hex crawl game. Right here, see? You start off in the home hex, and then you travel to the hexes and see what's amiss. And I'm just going to go back to here where you roll up what's in the next hex. Let me just roll it for the fun of it because I like doing this. So I'm going to roll a 4 bog marshlands. Very cool. Where's bog marshlands? Up here. Okay. So when they go into that hex, now they can turn around and say, no, we're not going that way. They can go to another one. So you're going to like, oh, okay. You gotta, and this is prep work. You got to generally have at least enough variety of hexes and adventures in those hexes that the characters can go to. And each hex is like a game session or 2 or 3, depending on what you got in there. It could be minor, just draining their supplies to get through it, for whatever reason. Or it could be an actual settlement, village, hidden away, trying to survive. And there's some bad guys or a bad beast there that they need to be saved from or helped. And generally, what you'll do in the game as well is have the settlement survivors be pagans, right? They're going to worship whatever the bad guys are, the bad guys or the beast, and you got to deal with that. Okay, so I just rolled the bog one. If no amphibious vehicle, which they probably don't have, minus D6 to life support and low tech. So that means that it costs them this much to keep it going. Like something's going on where they just lose that life support. Oh, it should be rations actually. I don't think I have life support in this game. That's in my... Yeah, so rations. No, rations or... I'm going to say rations because it's a... I mean, it can be whatever you want, but rations is like... Because they're being delayed so much, 2 rations that they got to eat food or their water gets spoiled, or whatever, something bad, dirty. Either something gets dirty, fouled, or they just have to eat more because they're waiting around and taking too long. And low tech means they gotta fix something. Something gets waterbogged or drained. Something in the vehicle gets damaged. I mean, you can role play out whatever that is. So let me roll though the prep work here of what's in this hex or bog land 1. Mutant crustacean beasts inhabit buildings in bogs. So you're gonna have a building in there that's gonna obviously lure the players, hopefully. But there are mutant crustacean beasts in it. That's it. And obviously fighting those beasts is going to be trouble. And then when they get to the buildings, they can search around for salvage. And there could be something cool in there. You never know. And so it's a very simple one evening adventure, exploring the buildings. And then there's mutant crustaceans that they got to fight. And if they do kill those mutant crustaceans, they can have crab now, food. And if they get enough of them, they can have enough. And they can use that to, as breaking bread with the next pagan encounter that they have. So they can come up with things, and you can come up with additional things, and you can add more things in there if you want. Oh, here, let me add in extra features, a D12. 3. Strange weather lowers ranges, maneuvers. Foggy, misty, cool. See, you could do something like that, or rainy. That's a cool one there. I'm gonna have to use that one right now. Put that in my into the hex crawl booklet for the Kickstarter. And, you know, you don't need to roll any of these because of the, this is for like a tribe or something. Although I could do an aggressive table for beast or tribes. Yeah, let me roll that. 8. Hunts, determined to take ambush, enslave if able, or eat. You know, but that's for the beasts. So they're going to be hunted by these crustacean beasts, right? So the beasts will probably, you know, hide away, let them come in. And you can have specific areas where they're hidden so that if they go directly to that area and find them, then they ruin the ambush or whatever. But you could definitely have an ambush where the creatures surround them. And they should be, the mutant crustacean beasts obviously have some form of intelligence. Creepy intelligence. Supplies and healing. This is for the GM to roll and, right here, this part. And you roll whenever you want as a GM. Not every session, but every time you feel like there may be a new, or when they go through a hex or a beginning of a hex, end of hex, whatever. And this will reduce some of their supplies so that they have to re-up on those supplies somehow. Okay, so this is just a basic roll that they've used this up during that hex drive or travel or whatever, for, you know, for whatever reason. And you can create the beast. All right, so let me create the mutant crustacean beast. Okay, so let me roll for the type. 6. Oh yeah, roll again. If 6, roll on the beast table. Oh, monstrous table. See, thank you for helping me edit this. Monstrosity table. If 5 or less creature rolls 3 dice on melee below, pick highest. Okay, so roll again. 2. Swarm of critters. Okay, swarm of critters. Okay, so there's a swarm of them. That's going to be scary. Let me roll 3 dice on melee and pick the highest. Okay, 5, 1, 6. So it goes to 6. Add a range attack, reroll again for melee. If 6, add more cool attacks, range or melee. Okay, reroll again. 5, wow. So tentacle plus grapple, if so then bite attack and a range attack. Here we go. Range attack. 1. Spray acid, blast D8, short range. Okay, so we got 10 octopoids with a acid spray. And they're a swarm of critters. So they're small little things that, but you know, I would create a one type of creature that's a swarm. You know, freaky deaky, right? I'm gonna have to draw that one out today. I'm gonna create that, put that on the hex world. That's gonna be scary. Let me see. So I already know that it's a crustacean, you know, like a snail, yeah, type of thing. What else? I don't need to do that. Search and salvage. So if they, once they sort of deal with these mutant beasts, these tentacloids, they can then search and salvage and they can find stuff in there. And I'd probably do some decent bonus rolls, because in some areas you might just give them a D4 for the roll, or a minus D4 plus D6, whatever. So you can decide on that. And one last thing before I end this: DRR. What's a DRR? Die rank result. So I use this a lot now, and I'm really gotta put that in here. I mean, it's in here. Let me see if I can. It's under game mechanics. Where's game mechanics? Oh yeah. So so with that hex of the bog hex, where they go into the buildings and find the tentacloids or whatever. See, so this game doesn't mean you have to. You know, it's not about preaching and boring Christian preaching every game. You know, that one right there. There's no preaching. It's all adventure fun and them getting stuff. Okay, so a lot of, you know, half or more than half of the game should be that as well. And the role playing of conversion and evangelism, it should be, you know, once in a while, fun stuff, but there's going to be a lot of adventure, and you're going to fight people and deal, you know, die and violence and all. Okay. Where's the okay. DRR, die rank results. So if you want to read that, you can. Basically, and this is for a lot of times you're rolling something to gain something else. And same with the handling of a vehicle is a DRR, but it's the handling is the number that you got to get. In a regular DRR, 10 is the number to start with. So if you succeed at what do I have? Prayer. So if you pray, everyone prays because you, and let's say the total you roll is a 14, right? And you can get bonuses for prayer. If you pray really well, I'll give you like a D4, right? And everyone's in a circle praying before you go on a mission or whatever. Before the start of this going into the bog. If you roll, let's say the total is 14. Not a great roll, but whatever. So you get a D4. Everybody gets a D4 inspired die. that they can spend on whatever. Okay, so that's what a DRR is. Whenever you roll and you get a 14 is a D4, 16 is a D6, 18 is a D8, that'll go add that and then die to the next, whatever your intent is for that die, to go to the next thing. What are my examples here? Obviously, repairing things, preparing things, repairing things, negating wear and tear. Like when you're repairing something, if you roll a 14, then you take off D4 of the damage of that armor or weapon or whatever that, if it's got a D4 on it, or maybe it's got a D6. And when you roll and you get a 14, then you reduce it down by 1. So it goes from a D6 to a D4. Okay, so I hope I didn't confuse you, but it's explained in here, and it's really cool. It's a really neat way of getting things done, doing things that have a roll based on how high of a roll you make, kind of success, not just a yes or no, or hit and miss. There's a range of successes. And that goes for also salvage. When you're searching for salvage on this table, when you search based on the DRR, then you roll on this. So if you rolled a 14 success, then you'd only get to roll a D4, which is the 1 through 4. If you roll a 22 success, which is 12 above 10, then you get to roll the whole thing, and you might get something really rare and cool here. Okay? Hard, but anyway, so that's the game. You make here, you make different. I rolled out that one example of a hex. And again, in this, I'm going to keep it really simple. This is not done, but here's, I still got to build this out to 40 pages for the Kickstarter. But these are the original ones I've done so far. But it's a very I keep it very referencey as far as the adventures, so that you can kind of do what you want. This map here is a reference, so that you can create a map that you want with whatever you have. All this stuff is digital printouts that you have access to. You will have access to from the Kickstarter if you get the full-on digital thing or whatever, or the printables. You will get the digital files that you can print these out on a printer and print them. And let me just do a full screen. This is a little sneak peek of something I've been working on. I was going to do this as my original Kickstarter, but it got too expensive. It's going to be like $100 for the whole thing that I was going to do. But this is a booklet with all the assets in it that are printed out already. And this is odd. I had to go this route, but I can actually bend the spine and start separating these pages very easily. That's not what it's meant to do. But when I got this done earlier for my Dark Ages, that's what the pages started doing in the rule book, so I didn't like that. So that's why I'm doing a staple version like this, so that you can actually use it, spread it out like that and use it. So that's the reason I chose this for staple, because it's easy to use for the rule book, and it doesn't split apart like the spine does if you try to lay it down. But I noticed that it totally lays down, breaks apart, and so then you can have these cutouts. And these are like the cutout. This one is the Dark Ages one, so this is going to be the medieval cutouts. So you can cut these out and use them on your table, and they're nice, hard, glossy paper. And I also have all the tokens in there, so you can cut those out, and they're paper tokens. You can fold them, and so that'd be really cool. So this is like a Kickstarter I haven't done yet, but I think I will do this one. I do like this, and this is like a GM screen. And once you get all these pages out, you'll have this simple little GM screen with all these references to the game, the Dark Ages. But again, this is like $20. It's like 18 just for me, just for the print. So 18-ish or something like that. But I'm going to do that one. I do like it, so I'm going to do that one for the next one. But anyway, so the sci-fi one here, let me go back to... So this stuff is available for you to print out on your own. Printer friendly. It's black and white. And then you got your little creatures, your token creatures you can get to. And this is the underground secret web here. And this I rolled out. I rolled it out on that chart and got this. And then I added some stuff to it or whatever. You can add more to it, obviously. If you're feeling dastardly. And again, this one, there's no evangelism going on here. Now, in this one, there is evangelism. There's a village hidden away here. There's a witch running it, and they worship these rats and mutant wasteland wolf things or whatever they worship in. And they worship the witch. See? So this is the evangelism part of it. But some like this one here, the termites. I did have in the game I tested, and I will have in this one, is villagers came and sacrificed themselves to the termites. So they were put in the egg things, and they rescued them, and then, you know, the ones that survived, and then told them, why are you doing this? You know, and then they actually come from the witch in the woods who told them to go do that to the next hex over. So you can do stuff like that, okay? And these are the assets you'll get too, the paper mini cutouts, or you can use your own miniatures, whatever. All right. So this is me babbling on like I always do, doing my little slapdash videos, putting it together to show you that we Christians can do fun role-playing games that are, you know, more than all this stuff where you're just goofing around. You can goof around. But you're not going to be thrown into the woke thing, the LGBTQ thing, whatever communist Marxist thing they want to push on you. You're going to be with Christians, because this is a Christian game for Christians to evangelize. I'm pointing at you to support this if you can. It's not just a window covering of Christianity. It's like you really get to do fellowship in here. You get to work out some evangelism too, and the GM gets to play the pagans and act like a pagan in it, you know, during those parts. What's wrong with you? Sacrifice or slavery? And I really want to reveal too to kids how pagans are, you know, then and now. And how it was Christianity that brought civilization to the world. Not pagans. Pagans were around way before Christians, and the Roman Empire is a prime example of their paganism. Gladiators, butchery. That's what they love. Gore and butchery as entertainment. And we see it happening today. It's starting up again. So Christians, we need to like put our faith into everything. Everything. We need to, you know, that's why I'm doing this game. We need to put our faith into role-playing games and into the role-playing game culture. And we need to, and it isn't just window covering. It's actually putting your evangelism out there and rebuking all this stuff. Okay, so that's kind of why I'm doing it. I'm just going to keep doing it, whether I succeed or whether God wants me to do it or not do it. I don't know. I hope he does, but we'll see. Or, you know, I'll just keep doing it. And I just love the Lord. He doesn't need me, you know, to do anything. But I enjoy it. I need to do it for the Lord, for how I love the Lord and enjoy the Lord, and what I do to be in glory of him. Storytelling, all this. Anyway, I do have a blessed life, so I can't really complain. But although the world is pretty messed up, right? So in my thing now too, not just this, but also is telling people to rebuild the church. We got to rebuild the church. That's the answer to all these problems out there. The church is so, and we all know this. The attendance at church is the lowest it's ever been in so long, and you know, throughout the history of America or even Europe, Christianity has always been a minority, right? Even then, like the real Christians, the understand the Bible, even throughout history. But we've been vocal, and now we're not even vocal. We're so minority now. The regular church attending men that we don't even have leadership and we don't rebuke. You can't ever get rid of evil. You cannot get rid of evil in the world. And that's not the goal of Christianity either, is to get rid of it. It's to subdue it. Subdue it, civilize it, and keep it in check. That's what we're here to do until Jesus returns. We got to man up and keep evil in check. And we're not doing that right now. We're letting them run the asylum. So that's why I'm doing this. The RPGs is run by crazies, the RPG culture. And I and you need to come out and start playing games and rebuking and revealing to them there's another option. That's why I'm doing this. Okay, and Bill, I'm loving it, man. I don't have to worry. The people that play this with me, we're having a good time. All right, so in the game of life, and thank you for listening and watching. If you're interested, please help out with the Kickstarter. If you don't want to back it or not interested, or whatever, you don't have the money, at least share it around, because I don't know how to market it. Trying, but and when I market on like Facebook and all, I get attacked, you know, constantly just attacked. I think it helps. Like I put on X and Facebook. I do think it does help, but I just get so much mocking and scoffing. You know, I'm just like, whatever. Anyway, no big deal. In the game of life, roll holy dice. So share, please. All right.